Okay, so I'm working on this design. The font is the Rope font by Applique Planet. My kids just love it. I think it's great. I'm having a little trouble with stitching it out, so I took a look at it. The 3D. You can see that there's this overlap. If you can see it again in there in X-ray. If you play it, you can see that I've already split the colors into two just to make it easier to see. And I did that by just hitting stop at this point and then putting a new color in. And you can see that it then goes right over that green section. So you also notice that here there's some openings, and that's because the Embrilliance font will take care of overlaps when you put in different elements. So like where there's the C and the L, you see that the C has a break, and that's to let the L go through. But the L itself was digitized by Applique Planet, and they didn't digitize it to have a break. So Embrilliance doesn't change that. It only changes it when you have two elements being brought into their program that overlap. So that makes sense. So I tried to just use the split feature in the stitch point here, and I think it's always easier to look without the 3D on. And we'll just close in on that section. And I tried just doing, the stitch split, but what I was finding was even if I go over here and select the green layer, which is the layer that I want to have taken out, I'll just do that for you to see it. I lasso some of this green and split it as a new design, and I get this wonkiness, and I'm like, what? So I go down here, and you can see that what it did was it actually split these out. So while I wanted to split the green, even though I was in the green layer, it still split out the brown layer. That's not what I want to do, because if I delete this, I get nothing, and if I delete this, I see the wrong layer. So I want to be able to split the green layer, which means I need to turn the brown layer off. Let's undo this. Now, you'll see what happens if I turn the brown layer off so that I don't take stitches out of it by locking it. And I can go over here. This is great, but it's really difficult to see the stitches behind that I want to get. So what I could do is, so when I come back up here, now this one's off. So this is the layer I want to take, but now I don't know which exact stitches. I don't want to take too much. So in order to be able to see them, I'm going to unlock that. I'm going to go into Stitch Artist. So I guess you do need Stitch Artist. I'm not sure which level. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, now I can see both the brown and the green. But if I go to stitch points, it's really difficult to pick just those stitch points as well, because you'd have to do it individually and know which ones are brown and green. That won't really work. So back to Stitch Artist. I'm going to just use this tool here to draw with points. And I'm just going to come in here, and I'm just going to kind of go around. Oh, am I going there? I'll just use this one. Here. We just want to make sure that we don't go outside of the brown area or where the green is. See, so here there's some green. I'm gonna leave that alone. And then I'll just close it using this. Oh. Let's see what happens. My line is in red. Let's make that black. I think it's easier to see. Dark blue is fine as well. And so there we go. Now, not sure what this one is. Doesn't matter. We'll just turn it off later. Now we'll turn off this brown one. Click back on the design. And now you can see where that is. I'll zoom in a little more on it. Now we'll go to stitch C because you can see our stitch points. I can take my lasso, and basically I'm just gonna, as close as I can, follow this line. If I'm a little off, I think I'm gonna be, oh, well, let's see what I did. I'm gonna be, if you hit that right button, that happens. You have to start over. I do that often. If anybody does know a good way for me to not, oh, I missed those points, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start over. One more time. Third time's a charm, you know. And if it's not perfect, as long as you're not cutting out points you need, you should be good. Okay, and then I'm going to tell it I want it to be a new design. And here's my split design. So I'll click on that. I'm going to tell it I want it to be a different color, like just something so that I can, whoop, let's go with one of these, like oranges. Well, that's a little strange. The outlier, but I'm okay with that. And now, because that's a different one, we can just take a look to see what it did. We do have to turn. And then we can just delete our line, delete our split. We now have the opening we wanted. Turn our other one back on, and we'll zoom out a little bit. And then you can just go through the stitch simulator. It comes down. Oh, my green is off for some reason. Oh, I didn't have them both highlighted. But you can see that it comes through. There's some overlap here. There's a little bit of overlap there. And then we'll just do one color. And voila. Now if we turn this back on, we do have, where the overlap is, we have a little bit. I can go back in there and clean up those points if I want. Here, I go back to the stitch simulator. There is way too many points there. There really are. So I can just individually click on points to clean up if I want. There's no way we need all of these. I generally tend to like to look at what happens when I get rid of a point. Yeah, so you can see that there's stitches going away. So it makes it a little less dense. Let's see if I can find these weird ones. Which are probably stabilization, but there's so much here that I'm not worried about losing a little bit in an area that is so overwhelmed. You can do a stitch out, make sure you didn't make anything too thin or anything. I'm looking for this one, I think. Nope. Anyways, that should make it a little bit better. You can see. And I can keep going if I want, but honestly, I think it's probably good. And then just for giggles, here, 6706. Let's see if we clean up. 6704. Got rid of 2 extra stitches. So that should do it. All right.